You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, a strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Good evening, everyone. This is iWalter. It is now 10:30 almost because I actually screwed up. I did an hour show I had to take a break about an hour ago. Excuse me, because I'm going to be drinking during this session tonight because, not alcohol, trust me. It's actually, oh great. Okay, I'm going to have noise in the background. Anyway, I'm just starting my show because I had started my show around 7 o'clock tonight and I deleted everything. It was an hour show, first time I've ever made an hour mark, and it was gone. And I can't retrieve it. I use Audacity. Excuse me again, because it's just like I can't win. I was going to talk about a few things. Since I am starting from scratch once again, and I have no clue what to talk about, I will start at a fresh start and try to retrieve what I can take from memory on what my show was about. It really makes me angry. I actually spent $60 now on a program that claims that it will recover even deleted files on an Apple. Bought the program, couldn't even find my hard drives. Now, people mentioned they had problems with this program, but the issues they were having was external hard drives. Mine hard drives are all completely internal. It is not an issue. It shouldn't be an issue, but it was. Anyway, I'm hoping I don't get any background. It's like going on 10:30, and it should be quiet at this point. My show was fine before, but again, I'm starting from scratch. Today is Father's Day, by the way. It still is for the next hour and a half on this Sunday, June 21st, 2015. Apologize again, because I am just really not happy that I can't retrieve what I had originally recorded. I thought it was pretty good. So I hope this is going to be just as good as what I originally had planned or had recorded. Anyway, I was off yesterday. It was a day of rest for me, hopefully, and I tried to, unfortunately, because I live at home with my parents, I tried to avoid them. Got up a little later, had some errands to do, and I went and seen Jurassic Park, actually, as well. I didn't mention that before, so on the show that got deleted, so this might be good, I hope. Anyway, my parents, I mentioned numerous times to friends, and probably on my radio show, they're like cats. It's like having two cats, and they crawl around you like your feet. Not literally. There I'm just speaking hypothetically, but my parents are like cats. They're around your feet. They're constantly on your nose, pushing their way in the room or anywhere else. So anyway, there was a bit of an irony yesterday. It was around 2 o'clock, I think, because I went to a 3 o'clock show. So it was around 2 o'clock. I'm trying to hover to get ready. I couldn't even listen to voicemails because if I try to, I listen to them on speaker so I can kind of roam around the room. I actually got one of those Bose cheapo speakers you can get. You hook up through Bluetooth. I actually hardwire it to listen to my voicemails and radio shows and things like that are not mine, and my own shows, actually. So I was trying to do that, and they were still hovering around. They were supposed to leave hours before 2 o'clock. They were mentioning, we're going out for the day, and they just kept on insisting and asked me, hey, do you want to go along? And I said no, and after half a dozen times, they still didn't understand that I'm going to do my own thing, even after they themselves said that. So anyway, it was kind of funny, but they're at the bottom of my stairwell, where I have a room on a first floor of a bi-level. half of that area is mine. It's a bathroom, and maybe less than half, but it's a bathroom and a bedroom. It's almost like having my own apartment, a small efficiency, 1-room studio apartment with a bathroom. That's basically what it's kind of like. Not that it is. Anyway, we have this small hallway that goes into a rec room, if you've ever seen any type of older bilevels. And my mom had, she likes to put a lot of knickknacks and decorations around, including on the walls. So in our hallway, though, on the right-hand side, you come down the stairwells, there is a mirror that's been there since probably, I would say, somewhere around, I wouldn't say the 70s, but at least somewhere in the 80s. So it's fairly old. I would say late 80s. I'll be generous. That's still going on to 1990 to now would be 25 years. So the thing's been hanging there, never had an issue. Unfortunately, there's these fake artificial candles and these gold, I'm trying to give people a picture, gold leaf-like holders on the wall too, on both sides of the mirror. So you can kind of get pinched on either these candle settings or the mirror itself. So my parents not only are under my feet all the time, they're constantly under each other's feet constantly. Also because they're both retired for, I guess it's going for my father like 9 years now, I assume. I can't remember now. So anyway, I'm trying to kindly ignore them, not blow them off, but just kind of ignore them so I can get ready. I was getting myself prepared to leave to go see Jurassic Park in 3D at the Oaks Movie Theater. So my parents are literally on top of each other. My mom falls backwards into this mirror and she smashes it on the wall. And then she's yelling at my father saying that, it's because he is constantly under her feet all the time. And it's like, well, that's how I feel about both of yous. I mean, I understand it's their house, so I have to respect their wishes. If they let me live here, I give them a small amount of board, a little bit of money and some money for food expenses as well. Nothing special, nothing that's going to break the bank. And, in return, I have to respect that. But yeah, that was pretty entertaining. As I mentioned, though, which I didn't mention when I originally broadcasted the show that now got deleted, so I'm trying to make the best of it. I went and seen, which was originally a Spielberg production of Jurassic World now. Now, Jurassic Park is the one I believe that Spielberg did, and probably the only one. I believe that's a Spielberg. I should actually look that up, because at this point, I'm going to do that. Okay, filmography from Spielberg consists of Transformers 5, The Ventures of the Titan, Prisoner of Sun, the BFG, which I never heard of, Bridge of Spies. These are films that are in post or pre-production anyway. Public Morals, Gremlins, I think it's going to be a remake, Halo, Indiana Jones 5, It's What I Do, Robo Apocalypse, The Talisman, untitled third Titan film, The Whispers, Jurassic World exclusive producer. Okay, so he did work on that one. I'm trying to go. I'm not going to read everything off at this point. It actually said he was in Transformers Age of Extinction. I'm trying to see if anybody would recognize any of this stuff. I'm trying to look for that now. Smash, the TV series, which actually I started watching. It was really good. I just don't have time. A documentary on Auschwitz. TV series called The River, which I did not know that. But he was basically exclusive producer. And that show got canceled so quickly. Terra Nova, Warhorse, Transformers The Ride 3D. That's not a movie, though, obviously. The Ventures of Titan, Real Steel, Rebuilding Ground Zero, a TV series, Cowboys and Aliens, Transformers The Dark of the Moon. I was almost going to say Dark Side of the Moon. These are exclusive producers, most of these anyway. Super 8, he was a producer. I did not know that. He really got his hands on everything, folks. Transformers The Revenge of the Fallen, Eagle Eye, Dance with the Devil, On the Lot, Transformers, The Big Heist, Letters from Iwo Jima, Flags of Our Father. Yes, I forgot to ask on that. You know what? I bought those movies and I watched neither of those, and I wanted to. He was a producer on both those films. Yeah, I was trying to look, but I believe Jurassic Park 3, which actually was my favorite, it was the exclusive producer. Me and a friend actually agreed on that. We both liked that the best. Invasions of America, The Mask of Zorro, I'm correcting myself. The Lost Children of Berlin, Amistad, producer 1997, Men in Black. I know I said that wrong, by the way. Freakazoid, Twister, The Best of Roger Rabbit. Again, these are all producer-based shows for him, movies or shows that he had his hands in, so to speak. Back to the Future TV series, which I didn't even hear about. I probably don't want to watch. Gremlins 2, the new batch. Back to the Future 3, both were exclusive producer. Back to Future 2, exclusive producer, which I just mentioned. Inner Space, exclusive producer. That was a really good movie, by the way. The Money Pit, The Color Purple, Young Sherlock Holmes, Back to the Future. Again, these are all movies he was a producer in. Gremlins, Twilight Zone, producer. Poltergeist, producer. E.T., the Extraterrestrial, producer. Continental Divide, Escape from Nowhere. And there was one in here I haven't mentioned yet. I'm trying to hold off because that was actually something I mentioned for a reason on the show that now was deleted. So, again, I'm pretty sure I was just trying to, catch myself this time before, I made any major mistake. It says what he's known for was Save It Private Ryan, Schindler's List, AI, Artificial Intelligence, and Catch Me If You Can, which is actually funny because they use that now on me as their slogan for Mystery Night on Mystery, mystery. I'm trying to think of the correct word. Mystery TV shows and stuff in the past. So I didn't realize that's where they got that from. Filmography. I was trying to look for his thing as a director as well. And it's not that big of a deal. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that, folks. He actually did, there was a made-for-TV movie of Night Gallery before Night Gallery actually became a TV series. And yes, Spielberg was actually responsible for, I think, not the whole thing, because, that's obviously Rod Serling, but it was a segment called Eyes. It was really good, actually, too. This woman's blind, and she actually was filthy rich. So she actually gives money to find a donator, somebody who will donate their eyesight so she could see, their, I want to say, their cornea or something. I can't remember precisely what it was. That was, I forgot all about that. Actually, his first movie, TV movie officially, though, that was his, which I mentioned on the show I deleted, was Duel. And Duel actually, I want to bring that up a little later on because there's a reason for me mentioning that movie in particular. But it was Duel, Something Evil, Savage, The Sugarland Express, Jaws, Close Encounters, 1941, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Twilight Zone the movie, Stroke of Genius, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And it goes on from there. Okay, maybe I will read up a little further because it goes into what I wanted to read. Not this thing. Amazing Story is the TV series. The Color Purple, Empire of the Sun, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, Always, The Visionary. It says video segment Par from the Course, Hook, about Captain Hook. That was 91. Jurassic Park, the original one, 1993. Schindler's List, 1993. I'm not going to read all the years, by the way. Steven Spielberg's director's chair video game, The Last World, Jurassic Park. Now, I'm going to say it wrong again. I think it was a slave-type film, and it was called Amistad, Saving Private Ryan, The Unfinished Journey, AI, Artificial Intelligence, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can Again, The Terminal, War of the Worlds, which I really didn't like, Munch, that painter, which I really love. It was 2005. I probably didn't say his name right either. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull, the Crystal Skull. That was actually 2008. I'll stop. Don't worry. The Time Called documentary short, The Adventures of Titan, Warhorse, Lincoln, 2012. And then from there, you can probably, it's pretty almost up to date by them. And they're director 55 credited films. I'm sorry, I had to take this little breather of something to drink. I'm not drinking the best, saying it's going to make me even more thirsty. Some protein drink I drink on a daily basis. Anyway, bringing you up to today, though, we actually surprisingly made it on time. Today was the 40th anniversary of Jaws, or this month is. So a lot of movie theaters throughout the country of the United States is showing the 40th anniversary of Jaws today. It is one of my all-time favorite films from any producer, director, whatever. I can't say enough about it. I watched it again today with my parents. It brings up different stories inside. My father had somebody who kicked the back of his chair, which was an irony because yesterday when I saw Jurassic World, which are both Spielberg in some way, producer or director films. So I saw two Spielberg films this weekend. My dad had somebody kick him in the back of the chair constantly, so that obviously did not make him very happy at all. So I had two young guys that were behind me just yesterday at 3 o'clock, and they were kicking the back of my chair. So, I don't know what it is about people. And a friend said this before. He said, yeah, Walt, do you ever, go to a movie and somebody, you could sit in like the most awkward spot, but somebody somehow has to sit directly behind you, and then they just decide to kick your chair or talk very loudly or eat. Like these two people yesterday were chewing so loud the popcorn. It was like I couldn't imagine how you could chew popcorn as loud as they did. So they weren't talking; they were just chewing real loud. And what was the other thing? They were kicking the back of my chair the whole time. And then my dad he actually, from a family today when we went and saw Jaws, he actually moved into a different seat. It's like, I was trying to make it the best I could, with my parents. I tried to make it my dad's, a good Father's Day, I was hoping. We had taken him out to eat to a Italian restaurant he really likes. And he was happy with that. But the movie, he loved the movie. My mom even mentioned, she said, I thought she liked Jaws better than she liked Jurassic World. Now, Jurassic World made $500 million for open weekend. I don't think Jaws ever made that kind of money. Now, if you're talking times when tickets were $325 back when Jaws came out in, what was that? 1975 compared to 2015, if you do ticket sales, it probably still would be pretty high, which is kind of weird because Jurassic World was all right. Jaws was much better. Jurassic Park 3, though, I really did like. It was unscripted. It was basically improv, and for some reason, for me, and hearing somebody else say it now, a friend saying he really liked that one, I was really shocked that I'm not the only one who actually enjoyed that movie because it did so poorly. It did really bad. So anyway, it was a little bit of a nuisance for my dad. My nuisance was I come in and I don't understand this. It's always my pet peeve, but you got It's Father's Day. People were driving like nutcases. Most of the fathers now are probably not over the age of 20. Most of them are under the age of 20. So, and the responsibility of taking care of or paying for these kids is not by them. It's by our taxes probably and the parents. Now, a friend will probably say, I have different friends I'm talking about. I'm just going to make all these friends, which is not that many. I can count them all in one hand. I'll make them all one person, because that'll make it easier to talk about. Like Obama's book when he conglomerates all his different love interests into one person. I'm going to do the same thing, but not on his level, because actually mine are less of a danger than what he is. But anyway, getting back to the subject of what I was talking about, I go in and this girl is like, she was not bad looking, but she's like ready to go for a workout. She's got like workout spandex pants on, black, and a t-shirt, and it was like, okay, this is great, because I walk in, it was like, okay, I get some eye candy before I sit in to go into Jaws. And we got there, my parents and I, we got there like 20 minutes early. We sat in a decent seat, I thought, which ended up being not so great. 10 minutes before the film started, I figured, you know what, they're not going to run any trailers for this, because this is a special from Turner Broadcasting, I think. Classic films, the Turner Broadcasting for classic films. I forget if that's TMC. Turner. Well, anyway, I figured I better go right away so I won't get up during the movie. And I had the sensation I had to go to the restroom actually near the middle of the end of the film. And I was like, I'm going to suffer through this because I don't want to miss one moment of this movie. This is one of the few times I'm going to be able to see it on a large screen. And I'll tell you, it looked really good. I don't know if they basically, because some movie theaters now, they just broadcast digitally, and that could also mean, they probably pull a disc out and, they get copies of movies. Now, this is an old film, so it's not that hard. It's been digitally remastered, I think, at least twice that I remember. And watching it on the big screen was worth the money for the fact that when I originally had seen this film back in '75, it did not look as clear as it does now. Like, there was no flaws in the picture at all. It looked really sharp. The only thing that gave the movie away as being dated was the fact of hairstyles, clothes, and just basically your surroundings. Otherwise, you would think that film was razor sharp, that you could walk through the screen, and that's really impressive because that's a very old film. So that alone was worth it. But anyway, I've 10 minutes before the movie starts, I'm going to run out to the bathroom. Who do I get right behind was this woman again who's got on the workout outfit, and I'm like, okay, this is really good. But, and she has a kid this time. I didn't see the kid the first time, but she has a kid. And then the kid turns around and sees me and it's like, you know what? You go your way. I'm just going to use the restroom. Now, I didn't mind having something to look at walking out. But my issue is, though, which has always been an issue, always will be an issue, if you even look like you're doing the 1 second stare or gone, and some people say, well, you don't know when to stop looking. It's like, trust me, I've seen people who have gone beyond just staring and gone. They actually make the hoot and the holler and the whole 9 yards, which I don't do any of that stuff. I just keep my head down for a reason, so I don't have to look at what people are thinking of me. So anyway, the woman then, she had this T-shirt on, was kind of short, and she tries to push it over her butt. And it's like, okay, you know what? If you're going to dress like that, the best way not to draw attention to yourself is probably not to dress that way. I know it sounds amazing, but it's true. And one thing I had mentioned that on the deleted show was it would be like equivalent to me walking outside. I mean, you can say, oh, this is very exaggerated, what I'm about to say, but it really kind of is not. And I'll say why. What if I walked around in a thong and ran around? Okay, everybody's going to look the other way. They're not going to see anything. No, they're going to actually notice me. Trust me. I mean, I don't care if I'm 90 pounds or 300 pounds. They're going to notice a guy running around in a thong. And it's not going to like, oh, well, if I don't look, I'm not going to make a big deal of it. In fact, I don't see anything. No, they're going to see it. And if you advertise yourself in any format, like if I wear a shirt that's provocative or obscene, what happens to the kids in high schools? They get thrown out. Recently, there was girls in certain schools what they were saying, oh, this is not right. They got in trouble for wearing yoga pants because it was too, it distracted the kids and even the teachers way too much. It was too much of a distraction. So you can say that I'm over analyzing, over exaggerating what would happen and what people really think, but actually I'm not, I'm afraid to say. Because just recently, it was about, I would say 3 weeks ago now, there was a guy that was over the mall who got in trouble for taking pictures of women, just randomly taking pictures of women. And now most people are going to say, well, okay, most of these people who do get arrested, they did something more than just randomly take pictures, because this has happened in department stores, especially over the King of Prussia Mall, where guys go into the dressing rooms of women and they take the pictures. And that's a problem. But if you're just a guy, everybody has a cell phone. Every cell phone has cameras or video capability. That's how you get all these videos on YouTube and MySpace and Facebook. MySpace is not around anymore. I don't even know why I mentioned that. But the reason this stuff comes about is because people do have cameras and people are going to take pictures. Now, I didn't have a camera. I left my phone in the car. In fact, when I came back out, I have that iPhone 6 Plus. It overheated. It actually said you need to cool down your phone because it got so hot in the cabin of my car. The phone actually literally shut down with a warning sign that the phone is non-functional because it was like basically frying on my dashboard. So, and I normally always carry my phone with me, so there was a problem there. But I guarantee you, though, if I would have brought in, and this as a joke, which I usually do things as jokes, had taken a picture of this woman in her spandex pants, I would bet you a lot of money, I'm not going to say how much, that I would have been arrested today for just doing that. Now, if I was a woman and she was, because I worked, I know, I've been experienced both ends of this thing. This was years ago. I'll explain in a minute. That it's all right for a woman to say obscene or inappropriate things to a male, but it's not okay for a man to even just look at a woman without getting arrested. Now, I've said before in the past, or I mean, not in the past, the past few weeks, there's been men who have been arrested for just taking random pictures of women because they found it to be, they made them out to be sexual predators. Okay. Say that was the truth. Okay, now please explain this one to me. This was years ago. I worked at this place called Cheers. It was a novelty shop, not the bar in the TV show, based upon a real bar down in Horsham when I lived in Horsham years ago. And I remember one time these girls came in, and I think they may have known me. I can't remember because, again, this story, not again, but this story would be over 30 years old now, 20-some years old. A girl came in and she says, "Oh, Walter, you have a really nice ass." And I'm not making this up. And she started grabbing my butt and saying obscene things and stuff like that. So that apparently is appropriate, but it's inappropriate if you, for more than 1 millisecond, look at a girl's ass. That's inappropriate. You should get arrested. Get charges put against you. So, see, when I complain about something, it's not just because, I just like to complain about everything and anything. No, my complaints are specifically towards someone for a reason. You know what? Maybe I'll bring this up now. I don't have the article still. A friend had sent it to me, though. And here's a good example how, I guess, things that happen in your life, I guess, so to speak, provoke the way you react or to a situation. Now, that may not make any sense, I'm sure. So I'm going to see if I can find what I'm trying to say, make it a little bit more of a clearer thing. Okay, here we go, because it was in a private message. A friend had sent me something from Radar Online. It's Mr. Sensitive. It's titled Mr. Sensitive. Dylan Roof's cousin says black man stole his girl, ignited his racism. So the guy... Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks. I just opened up the page and not expect a commercial. So I'm going to let this run out. But, yeah, the bottom line is, it's a 17-second commercial, which is going to go on forever. So, it says, Mr. Sensitive, Dylan's cousin says black man stole his girl, ignited the racism in this guy, Dylan Roof. Anyway, okay, it's shut down. Hopefully that'll be the end of that. It starts out by saying, I'm not going to read it. It's a short article. I'll see how far I can get with it. Think that you attract the wrong type, ? How about being the object of a domestic terrorist, Dylan Roof's desires? According to his cousin, Dylan's hate for black people actually started when the girl he liked started dating a black man instead of him. And then it just goes on to say that last weekend, Dylan Storm Roof opened fire in a historic black church in South Carolina, killing 9 people, mostly elderly women. In the days since the mass murder, many details about Dylan's life and motivations have been revealed, largely due to the racist manifesto that has been published on the website. Now, a family member has spoken out on what may have really been behind Dylan's deep hatred for black people. It says the Charleston massacre suspect Dylan Storm Roof poses with a vehicle used in shooting. See the creepy new photo. So there's some photos, by the way, on this link as well. But yeah, it basically, they're saying his anger stemmed from a situation that happened to him. So you have to remember this. We learn this. This is the first thing you learn in chemistry, by the way. And I know I'm all over the place, so I apologize. Again, I've been apologizing for the last 30 minutes. So, again, what do you learn in chemistry? What's the first thing you learn in chemistry? Well, I'll tell you. Every positive reaction causes an equal and opposite reaction. So, you're probably thinking, what are you talking about? Well, what I'm saying is, what causes my outcomes, or, me complaining about things, outbursts, whatever you want to call them, or even with this guy Dylan, is from what has happened to him in his personal life. So, that's what I am trying to state. So, So you can take that or leave it wherever you want. I might have went off a little bit, so I'm having people instant message me now for some reason, and I really don't have time to talk to them right now. So I wanted to get back to at least when I was talking about I Saw Jaws, the 40th anniversary. I really want a long way around to get into that story at least. So Spielberg's movie of Jaws hit its 40th anniversary this month. They picked today two times. One at 3 o'clock, one at 7:30 to show the film once again on the big screen. Now, they show it on some movie houses periodically, give or take, over the years, but this was official for the 40th anniversary. So the most interesting thing was I didn't realize they had somebody talking from the Turner Network that I knew there was mechanical problems because it was a mechanical shark, that the shark would keep on breaking down. I did not realize they had 3 of them. So they would say 3 is a charm, but apparently not, because it had caused Spielberg to basically try to work with not using the shark as much as he wanted to, which actually worked in his favor. In fact, there would have been a lot more scenes with the shark, which was, again, best that it wasn't, because it probably would have been... I'm sorry, I'm looking for something else now, so I'm pointing away. But yeah, the movie would have probably not made the impact like it did. So yeah, but that was a fluke. The shark kept on breaking down the mechanical sharks, all three of them, and because of that, he basically decided, well, I have to reinvent my movie, which was by showing the attacks, the shark, some of the scenes, not really, but showing it through the shark's eyes, or just not showing the shark at all. Like, basically keep you in suspense through almost over half the movie, maybe 3/4 of it. Well, that actually really worked. So that was a happy fluke. Now, when you got to Jaws 2, by the way, they show the shark constantly. I remember seeing it as a child. I saw both of them. Jaws came out in 1975, though. And you got to remember, in Jaws 2, I was trying to see if I could find Jaws 2, but 1978. So Jaws 2 came out in 78, so it was 3 years later. But Jaws actually sprouted out a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies about sharks. Movies called like Megalodon, Shark Night, Sharknado. I can't even think of half the shark movies, but there was definitely a lot of them. I'm looking at some of them now, and from Jaws, what influenced other people. Obviously, Jaws 2, Jaws: The Revenge, Jaws 3D, Great White, one called Titan Rora, I can't even pronounce that, Cruel Jaws, Shark Night, as I mentioned, Mako, The Jaws of Death, Jurassic Shark, Orca, which actually wasn't about a shark, it was about a killer whale, but since Jaws was so popular, Orca was made, and Orca was actually a really good film, by the way. I actually rented that recently. The Two-Headed Shark, Monster Shark, Sand Shark, Shark Attack 3D, Swamp Shark, Shark in Venice, Barracuda, and Super Shark. And there's probably more than just the ones I'm looking at right now. And Shark Week, obviously, like I mentioned before, because Shark Week and all these other movies about sharks and megalodons and everything would have never really been that big of a deal. But Jaws made that much of an impact on its audience. So the movie had some of Spielberg's little bit of moments that make you jump out of your skin, which I remember when you're a kid, it's even more intense. Now, I remember when I saw Jaws 2, I snuck into, and by the way, the budget on Jaws, the original Jaws, was $7 million. So you're talking, you're talking 40 years ago. So that means I was 7 when I saw Jaws in the movie theater. But I remember when they did Jaws, or Jaws 2 was released. It was funny because I actually not only was petrified from Jaws 2, I remember my dad saying, "Oh, that's just a mechanical shark." It's like they had a real one in the first one. No, that was fake too, believe it or not. But it was probably, they got one of them, maybe all three of them, working finally for the second movie, which I really don't think Spielberg had much to do about it. He might have, it was actually a different director, and he went on to make some really good films, this director who did the second one. But the thing was, you saw more of the mechanical shark, and it made it more obvious that this is a fake shark. And that would have been the result of the first one if it actually worked properly. So I remember I snuck into one of the movie screens. It might have been over King of Prussia. They used to have one right at the mall, movie theater, right next to this this garden place that was right next door to a movie theater that was at the old King of Prussia Mall. I mean, this was a long time ago. I think that's where I might have saw Jaws. Well, anyhow, it was funny because Jaws 2, I kind of like poked my head in before the movie started. I was like really curious about what was, what it was going to look like. There was another movie theater, by the way, too. That was in Valley Forge. It could have been there. But I remember seeing this part with this guy. He looked like an Amish guy flying his helicopter. And he's trying to save the kids. They're stuck being tormented by Jaws because they want parasail and everything like that. This one in the movie, something like that, or boat and whatever, and without their parents' permission as well. And it was kind of funny because I seen the shark jump out of the water, grab the helicopter, and plunge it into the water, and the blades like just being ripped apart, and the man like basically getting pulled under for the shark to eat. And being a little kid, it frightened me so badly. But I remember my dad saying, "Oh, that's just a mechanical shark, it's not real." And it was like, to me, it looked real because I was 7 years old in the first one, I was 10 years old in the second one. Trust me, everything looks real to you. And you see it now, and you can see like where the hinges are on the mouth. It looks like hinges to me on the fake shark's mouth, but otherwise they did a really good job with that. Now, I remember even seeing, I saw the specials on Jaws, how they made it. I remember the girl Chrissy, who gets killed, the character Chrissy, she was actually a professional swimmer in real life. She was she was a real athlete. Not anybody, maybe somebody knew, but she was really athletic in real life. So the character Chrissy, who gets killed in the beginning of the movie, I remember they said they put wires and stuff under her legs and her waist to pull her around when it looks like the shark's like tearing her apart. And she said that those really did hurt. She really got hurt really badly with that. And they did, like when she was screaming, I think probably some of those screams for help were for real, and they just let the camera roll. So that was pretty interesting. Besides the sharks breaking down all the time. The other thing was, you know what? I just lost his name again. Peter Benchley, anyway. I just remembered it again. Actually plays a cameo for one day. They get him in there to play a news reporter, broadcasting live from Amity Island on the beachfront. And it's funny because they only got him for the one day, so if they had any retakes, from what I gathered, he wasn't there. So they had some part where he was supposed to be interviewing people on the beach, and it's just an arm, sleeve, and the hand with the mic, because obviously they only got him for that one take, that one day, and he's not really an actor. He did a great job. I mean, Peter Benchley wrote the book, Jaws. So they got him in there for that one scene, and I don't know, I never knew that until just recently, a couple years ago, maybe. So that was pretty interesting. I'm trying to think. There was something else, too. About Peter Benchley, the movie. I've been doing this a lot lately, though. I forget what I'm talking about after a while. I guess I go off and... Oh, okay. Amity was a fictional town for, I assume, in the book and the movie. I know one thing that was always mentioned, they changed from Peter Benchley's book from the into the movie. They had to change it to get the PG rating, or the kind of weaken down or get the rating down to a more family friendly, which I heard originally, even with the cuts they made. Jaws, when it was originally released, is what I've been told, it was actually rated R, and they changed it to a PG rating. So there was probably some more cuts that never will be seen, or actually if they were shot, or who knows. But I know they changed it from the original rating when it was doing a short run in theaters, before it was theatrically completely released. Sometimes they release movies in a select amount of theaters. They got a rated R rating, and it changed. But originally Richard Dreyfuss' character Matt Hooper apparently was supposed to be having an affair with Brody's wife in the story of the book, but they cut that out too. You can kind of see a little bit. But it's very vague. It is very vague. They made sure that was one part that was removed from the film, which would have been kind of neat. But yeah, hey, if this movie held up for 40 years, I always like to see a remake of it, but it just proves, why remake something that is that well put together, I guess, as far as a film. So, anyway, the very end of the Jaws movie, that's where I was going to go with. The story I probably already shrunk down. Let's see if I have it up still. But it was actually on the movie Duel, and what I was going to mention was, I'm going to see if I can find it again. Duel actually was a made-for-TV movie. It was Spielberg's, I thought it was his first film, but now I'm kind of beginning to wonder if that's actually the case. But Duel, which came out in 1971, was directed by Spielberg, made-for-TV film again. And it actually had this guy, Dennis Weaver, who acted in a show that's being shown on Me Entertainment or Memorable Entertainment, and it is called McCloud. Now, that's a really good show, by the way. But, yeah, and I'm trying to figure out when McCloud came out because I can't remember now. Anyway, Dennis Weaver played in this movie as a salesman who basically hated his job, was not really happy until his life changes around for the wrong reasons. He actually he encounters this wacko guy in a truck who is probably also bored. Okay, McCloud was on from 1970 to 71, so he actually did, Dennis Weaver actually did this film in between doing the shows in McCloud. Dennis Weaver has a long list of movies he has done, TV shows, films, whatever. Probably more TV, I would assume, like westerns and stuff. But yeah, it says a businessman commuter is pursued by terrorized by a basically it's, I'll say, a violent driver of a massive tractor trailer. So yeah, this guy, this tractor trailer is not only nuts, but he toys with the character of Dennis Weaver, who is David Mann, the character. And you never get to see the guy, but the guy basically toys with him like a cat does with a mouse. So 3/4 of the film, he's torturing this guy. It's not a very long film. Actually, it might be a full 90 minutes, though. I'm trying to look. It doesn't really matter either way. Oh, yeah, it's 90 minutes. So it was on commercial TV. It was 90 minutes. You can actually buy the film, it looks like, because it's a classic. But he toys with Dennis Weaver's character, and Dennis Weaver finally gets to the point he's tired of this guy playing with him, trying to kill him, getting his car all banged up. And he turns the tables, and he ends up killing the man. He outsmarts the man, has the man try to run him off the road, which instead Dennis Weaver puts his car, I think, on the side of a hill almost from the road, one of those sharp turns. And the guy in the truck, tries to finish off Dennis Weaver. Dennis Weaver jumps out of the car, and both his car, Dennis Weaver's car, and the truck go over the hill. So anyway, in that particular scene, that's what I'm trying to get up to. I just didn't do a very good job. Dennis Weaver actually jumps out of the car. I already said that. And as the truck is going down the side of the hill, Spielberg added this one soundbite of an old movie with dinosaurs. It may have been the King Kong movie when King Kong is fighting one of the dinosaurs in the original black and white one. He liked that so much with the dinosaur, with that roar and sound it made. He added it to the movie of Duel. When the truck, when it's the final finale, when the truck gets destroyed, the man gets killed, it is harassing Dennis Weaver. So that exact same soundbite was actually used, because Spielberg mentions this, in the movie of Jaws, when the very last scene where, Brody basically blows up the shark by putting an air tank in its mouth and blowing it up. So yeah, they used that. He uses that. He said, I like that sound so much, that sound bite, that he used it once again in in that part. Roy Schreider did. And by the way, I didn't know that, or at least I forgot that Roy Schreider had passed away, and I'm trying to look it up. Because I know when I see it, Robert Shaw, I think, actually, yeah, they're both passed away. Roy Schreider actually died February 10th, 2008, which I either forgot or didn't realize. And Robert Shaw died back in 1978, so that was like a year after the film. That's really weird. Lorraine Gary, she was the one who played Brody's Richard Dreyfuss's wife. I kind of liked her. I didn't like her as much as I do now. I appreciated watching the film again. And she's 77 now. She was from New York, though, originally. And she was really good in the film. She actually was a good supporting actor. That was Robert Shaw's wife in the movie. He was on a lot of, not Robert Shaw, I apologize. I'm messing up all over the place. Roy Schreider's wife. That's the one, but yeah, Robert Shaw is a really good actor. He's been a lot too. But it was kind of funny, but Roy Schreider was on a lot of different stuff. TV shows like Sequest, Race to Save the Planet, never heard of it, The Secret Storm, and Love of Life. But I remember him most from Sequest. I think my brother actually liked that show too. But yeah, they're all incredible actors. Obviously, Richard Dreyfuss, who does not know Richard Dreyfuss, and some other people that were really, really good in that film. So that was the height of my Father's Day for my dad. It was taking him out and then taking him to go get something to eat. Anyway, there was some other stuff I wanted to mention or had mentioned, deleted it, wanted to complain about. One thing that kind of I might hit this next show is going to be obviously a little longer than my original one, which I don't mind. I didn't think I could do it, but it looks like I will. My problem with Father's Day is, and it's no joke, but most of these kids don't even know who their father is. And I'm speaking across the board. It doesn't matter what your background is. It's just like these young girls nowadays, they just want to have kids with everyone, but they don't want to have a responsibility of they don't want to take care of the kids, or they have kids and they have their parent. Well, that's the same thing. They have their parents take care of them. They have multiple partners that, so basically they might have 3 kids or 5 kids, these single moms, and each child is from a different parent. And, when I was in high school, that would be shunned upon if a girl got pregnant once. You wouldn't see her after she got pregnant. This is back in the 80s. But now it's just like you get commemorated for having children. Oh, that's great. That's a pat on the back. And not taking responsibility. Well, it's a woman should think about her career. Well, you should think about your career first before you even decide to get pregnant. Then that wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, today was a lot of irresponsible people on the road, probably younger people that were fathers and mothers that were under the age of 20 again. And if I did mention, I'm mentioning it now. And I know my dad was complaining. I was doing the drive-in. My father was even saying we were coming home from Eaton, and this guy, in a pickup truck, plowed down our road when I was trying to turn my development. Instead of slowing down to let me make the turn, because he was like a good quarter of a mile away, he floored it and actually accelerated to try to hit me. So that's an issue. I had people who did that behind me for pulling out of my development. I had people cutting over lanes, not using signals, being in the left-hand lane with left-hand turn signal, but yet then go straight or make a right-hand turn. That was all in the course of the day. I didn't even have to complain about it today. My dad was doing it all for me. And even about the guy who accelerated his gas pedal when he tried to run into me. And my dad actually the other day, I did mention this, he called the police because he's getting fed up with the whole deal. Anyway, what was I going to tell you? Yeah, speaking about that, the irresponsible kids and stuff, and it's funny though, Most of the people around here, and they're younger kids. Again, I don't know how they can afford these because they're not paying for it. Their parents are. And I would guess that most of these kids, probably their parents work where I actually work. And their parents are making all this money, working all this overtime to buy their kids that are under the age of 20 Mercedes-Benz and Audis, and not the cheap ones. There is no such thing as a cheap Audi or Mercedes-Benz. But the most expensive car. It could even be the parents, and they just let their kids drive it. Either way, it's crazy. So you have that problem. And I just found out from my father, I didn't even ask him, he brought it up. He said that he worked at the same place I did, my father. And he mentioned that it's up in Lansdale, someplace up in Lansdale, that the revenues, the amount of money that's being made made in taxes from where I work, from the amount of people working, making the money there, cuts the taxes for Lansdale. There was a guy, my dad told me, he inherited the business of some Dairy Queens. I'm talking, there was one in Trooper, one in Valley Forge, and one in Lansdale. I thought there was more than one in Lansdale. But he owns them. He runs them all. He had taken them off his parents. He does a really good job. The guy's like around my age, probably a little bit younger, whatever. And again, the places are very clean, well ran. Like they only owned the one in Trooper, and then they bought the other one in Lansdale from after there was some fraudulent things going on there, and they cleaned it up and turned it around, and then they bought the one in King of Prussia from this older man, or Valley Forge, who was owned by an Indian gentleman who sold it to who owns it now, this younger guy. Does a great job. This guy lives in Lansdale. He says he pays only $600 a month on rent where he lives. Now, he wouldn't live in any type of crappy apartment or condo. He would live in a really, it's obviously an apartment. And he's only paying $600, he said, because Lansdale is getting a majority of their money, basically your taxes in Lansdale, most of your taxes are for school taxes. Well, that money is coming from the the money being made from the place I work. I almost slipped and said where I work. So I don't want to do that. That would be a no-no. So I'd have to beep it out there. So you could imagine what kind of money that's make the cost of living or renting an apartment in Lansdale that cheap. And it's not anything flimsy. My dad told me where it's located. I'm not quite sure, but apparently it's a really nice area. Excuse me, I'm drinking again. So that being said, and I work at a place, like I've been killing myself the last couple days. We ran behind on the cleaning process in order to do the proper production of what we make at where I work. And it was said in a meeting at my job through supervision. And I've been stepping up to the plate because the last thing I want to see is myself even going out the door for the money I make. Now, I get no overtime at my job. It's offered to everyone else. There's people, though, that were fighting over the overtime, that they were doing too much work on overtime. And it was like, wait a minute. Different people, different jobs. There's two people that work with me. They get a whole bunch of overtime. And some of them get almost 6-7 days a week of overtime. I'm getting 0. And I'm exhausted. I'm at the point now, I got home. I actually had to buy new bedding for my bed because, one, I've just been sweating so bad. And I've been in so much pain for working less than 40 hours a week. If you take my breaks out, it's less than 40 hours. You're almost talking 35 hours a week of actual physical work. That the amount of pain I've been in is just beyond belief. I mean, I can barely crawl out of bed in the morning. I can't sleep a straight 8 hours because I'm in so much pain. And I mean, my hands are like curling up, and I can't feel any. I feel a lot of pain in my arms, my hands, and it's beyond the pain of feeling you get when you have carpal tunnel. It's much, much worse. And the reason is because I'm trying to catch up on work that should have been done, and it's not getting done. In fact, instead, it's being left for me to do. Now, most people are saying, well, just don't do it. Okay, well, you know what? When that day comes that they lock the doors, you can just do what you've done in the past, people at the past have done, and at my job, which has been what the deal was. They'll just blame me. They won't blame that you have a person, male or female, that's working, let me see, 80 hours a week and doing like about 15 hours worth of real work, if even that. Maybe more like an hour and a half worth of work out of the 80 they actually physically put in on a time clock. So that being said, that's real equality right there. And that just shows you, and they're literally, I told my dad this, and he says, oh, this has been going on for years. People are fighting over who gets overtime. Like they're literally getting into arguments about it. Or and I think years ago, it could even have turned into fist fights, believe it or not. Now, that might sound like an exaggeration, but that's before I even got there, but I've heard stories about that stuff. I mean, people are just that money hungry, and yet they don't want to work for what they do. They just want to sit there, watch sports games, TV shows, and movies for the 16 hours, whatever they work a day. Even if they're working illegally you're not allowed to work more than 16 hours. Some of them do. Some of them never even go home. I remember years ago, my dad said, it's a plant that I work at in Lansdale. My dad said there was a guy that actually finally just got rid of, threw him off plant site, but he was there so much he basically washed and showered inside the facilities, but he had a trailer that he just basically lived outside the plant site. And I think this particular guy I'm talking about, my dad told me he actually had 2 homes, really nice homes, and he lived in neither one of them because he was never home, and he was very cheap too. So the man was making over 6 figures, way over 6 figures, and he lived for where I work. Now me, I work probably a lot harder than that guy that's probably no longer there, and these other people, but yet they do less work and they get 5 times the amount of income yearly that I get. So you try to explain that one to me. It makes no sense. Anyway, I wanted to go on to speaking about people that are just deadbeats or losers, or just basically robbing companies. The deadbeats or losers are these families that have these kids that work where I work and basically cater to their kids, allow their kids to do whatever they want, and they don't take responsibility of disciplining their kids. And the kids don't take any responsibility because they have nobody disciplining them. So anyway, that being said, I wanted to mention this the other day, and I didn't. I did mention it earlier on, again, the show that I had mistakenly erased. And this was from the dailymail.com. And it's titled, now this is an older article, by the way. It was actually, I'm trying to look at the original date of this publication. It was the 14th of March, 2013. So it's like over a year old. And it says, Chelsea Clinton buys new home for $10.5 million, an apartment across the street from her husband, $4 million starter pad. So he had a $4 million home. She had a $10.5 million home. That is Chelsea's husband now. I don't know the man's name. But you got people like this. Now, the Clintons I'm making an example of because she's never really had a real job. I think she might have worked as some type of newscaster or something for something. I can't remember. I vaguely remember it being mentioned. And she got paid a large amount of money with, she's got a degree in communications. Well, she got the job, though, because her parents are Bill and Hillary Clinton. That's what got her the job, not because of her background and, that she, in fact, I think she was more of a nuisance at the job she did have. So her parents basically put her in charge of these charities they run, and they basically pay her off the charity funds. And she's making like hand over fist of money that is money that's actually supposed to go to the money that the Clintons raised for charities, and they pay their daughter's salary off of that. So, and they also basically scrape more than just off the top for themselves as well, both Hillary and Bill. So, that being said, again, it's stuff like that, and you see it around here, and then you got the people who just plainly just sponge off the government because they just don't want to work at all. I have to mention a joke a friend had sent me. But it says on this article, it says, most young couples could only dream of buying a luxury 4-bedroom apartment in the central of Manhattan. But Chelsea Clinton, 33, and her husband, 35, are about to swap their $4 million pad for a huge $10.5 million one nearby. Yeah, so this was last year, so she's 34 now, and he's 36. She's 34 and he's now 36. And they were able to buy at that age a $10.5 million home. You don't see a problem with that, do you? I do. So, am I jealous? No, but if you're scraping money off of charity funds to pay for it, yeah, I'm gonna be making that making some discussion about that. So that's just it should not happen. Let me put it that way. I'm going to go, like I had in a certain order before. I really don't this time, so I'm just going to go by whatever. Lighten up the mood. There was a story which I thought was funny. Again, this is one thing. I'm sure there would be a double standard here if it was somebody else. I thought it was really funny, though, and it was from a friend, and I'll read that little thing the friend sent me, too. He made a joke. It was a Monopoly joke kind of thing on people who don't want to work. Anyway, this one story was from WPIX 11. My show is going to be way over an hour tonight now. But naked man caught on videotape running through Walmart pouring milk on himself. I thought it was hilarious, the video. Again, you can find it on WPIX.com. Pike County, Kentucky. A video posted on YouTube Saturday shows a naked man running through Walmart and pouring milk on himself, according to WYMT. The video depicts the masked naked man racing through Walmart, knocking over items, screaming, "I'm on fire," and covered himself in gallons of milk. I couldn't stop laughing. I think it's like some type of frat prank, like a college frat prank. So, hey, more power to him. I know it was wrong, but it was still really funny. It was taken down from YouTube, by the way, right away. After the first couple hits, 100 hits. Anyway, it says he runs out of the store along with the videographer, and the milk-covered man sprints into a getaway vehicle while the cameraman takes off running. Timothy Smith, 24, and David Daniels, 19, have been arrested in connection with the incident, according to WYMT, and they are now facing charges of disorderly conduct, indecent exposure, and criminal mischief. I thought it was funny. I mean, you have to, again, people just, they should probably get a fine, but, jail time, okay, that's more of an issue than a woman. I know I always talk about this, but women having sex with 15-year-olds that are married and have kids of their own. Apparently that's they get a slap on, those people get a slap on the wrist, and you won't see anything else. But this guy he was streaking through a store. That would be more of something I would like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll make you serve community service time for like 30 days or whatever. But I wouldn't make it such a, oh my God, this guy should spend some time in jail for what he did. Maybe he won't. I don't know yet, but I'm assuming they're going to make it more than it really was. This is a story a friend had sent me, and it's titled, Mayor Sends Governor Letter Urgent Appeal to FEMA's Denial of Aid After Riots. WBFF Fox. So the mayor of that town I'm trying to look for it. Okay. basically, Mayor Stephanie Rawlins Blake is reacting to the FEMA's denial of federal assistance to aid the Baltimore City after April's damaging riots and looting. So the bill, the tab for all these idiots destroying the city, ended up being $30.5 million. And the government finally put their foot down and said, we're not going to give you the money to fix what was destroyed. So, hey, good for them. Good for somebody who actually stood, talked back to this idiot who's their mayor. It says, she says she is disappointed following an announcement made Friday afternoon that the Federal Emergency Management Agency denied Maryland's request for a disaster declaration to help the city's recovery efforts. Well, you know what? You should have stopped before it even began, not let people riot and destroy their town. You know what? If they should lie in this pile they left. That was their. I mean, I know there's innocent people, but the amount of people that weren't innocent is larger, so they are going to suffer too. Here's the letter Rawlins Blake addressed to the Governor Hogan on Friday. It's the letter she wrote says, "Dear Governor Hogan, I was disappointed to learn of the denial of your request to use U.S. Department of Homeland Security for federal assistance to the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore as a result of the civil unrest, files, and vandalism in the period from April 25th to May 1st, 2015. I understand that the state had a period of 30 days to file an appeal with the regional administrator of FEMA Region 3. I urge to file such an appeal on the behalf of the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. My administration and I understand stand ready to provide an additional documentation or information that you feel would be necessary for our state to successfully appeal this decision. Sincerely, Stephanie Rawlins Blake, Mayor, City of Baltimore." Well, you know what? President Obama and Stephanie, you should have probably done a lot more than just sit there and put your tail between your legs and let this happen. So the only one you can blame is yourselves. Yeah. Okay, next story I'm going to read, because I am running way over time, which I don't really mind. It's my show. Daily UK Mail, it was a story about a hungry hippo. Apparently, alligator tried to attack the hippo's baby, so the mother got obviously angry, and she basically took a bite out of crime, or a bite out of this alligator. So the hippo obviously won too. Now it's titled, "Now That's Hungry Hippo." Incredible photos show the moment a protective mother hippopotamus takes a chunk out of a crocodile in South America. Incredible tussles between mother hippo and crocodile took place in Lake Panic at Kruger National Park, South Africa. She wrapped up her giant jaw around the reptile, who can be seen thrashing wildly in a desperate attempt to break free. Incident was caught by an amateur photographer, Ken Haley, who says the crocodile was just minding its own business. He said the hippo must have felt that her calf was under threat from the crocodile, and her protective instincts kick in. Well, you know what? If a croc's that close, I wouldn't be surprised. And you know what? If that crocodile was still alive, he probably will obviously not do that again. So I can't say anything wrong. I'm just going to go in the order that I put them on my Facebook page. This was pretty funny. It was in the Daily Mail again. And it's titled, and it's actually Marilyn Monroe pictures. They're all in color, but these are before Marilyn Monroe became the sex symbol she was. So this is plain Jane Marilyn Monroe with her original name, and it's titled, "There was no sultry sexiness about her that came much later. The astonishing treasure trove of rare images show Marilyn Monroe as you've never seen her before." So, yeah, it shows some pictures. It actually gives her real name, which I got to look up again. So what was it? 20 years ago, Astrid and Ben France, owner of 50s memorabilia store, were in a vintage shop in Los Angeles when shopkeepers came over with a box telling them it's press clippings and pictures of Marilyn Monroe. And these were pictures way before it was who you know as Marilyn Monroe. But they were actually authentic. And you can find those. But yeah, you won't recognize her. Trust me. I'm trying to look for the name, her real name, actually, too. Because it's actually, I can look on here. There was a thing right when she got in, before she became a model. And it was from Blue Book Models. It says 37 Casino Floor, Ambassador Hotel, Los Angeles, California. And her name was Norma Jean, was her real name. And it says vital statistics, 5'6", weight 120, bust 36, weight 24, hips 34. And then they put hoo-hoo. So that was pretty funny. That she was obviously, even though she looked plain Jane, she was still, a very attractive woman. So you can find it again on the Daily Mail, and it's titled Marilyn Monroe Pictures, Hello, Norma Jean, because that's her real name. There was another story that I came across. I thought it was interesting. It was on hillsfails.com. Meet a woman that has been pregnant for 2 years. Well, that woman was pregnant for 2 years. That means that child inside her womb is actually the size of a 2-year-old, I would assume. And I don't know why she did not get a C-section. But it says the story. This is a story of a girl in Washington who was 32 years old and has been pregnant since 2 years ago. So yeah, you know what? I'm not going to make this. It's going to be like a 2-hour show if I keep on going. So I'm going to try to avoid that. And I don't even know what my sound levels are at this point. So they could be all over the place. But yeah, you can read that one. Another story I had, it was from BritBart.com. Over 300,000 rally in Rome against gay marriage. So that's kind of, in my opinion, that's a good thing. Hundreds of thousands of people traveled from all over Italy and Europe yesterday to protest against the proposed legislation of gay marriage and teaching of gender theory in schools. So it shows a man and a woman. The guy actually has a T-shirt on. The woman's holding up a T-shirt. The man has a T-shirt of those bathroom emblems like you see of a man for a men's room, like the black emblem of, man with pants and a woman with a dress on, and it's holding a little child in the picture. It's like a generic thing on the T-shirt. But it says this is a family, so it's man, child, woman. The woman's got the same type of T-shirt, but it says this is not a family, and it's woman, child, woman, man, child, woman on the T-shirt. So I hope I gave a good description on that one, because I'm just trying to get through these. A story I found was on dailymail.com. Oh, maybe, yeah. No, it actually was. I just got the wrong thing came up. And it's titled, My Cute Baby, You're High. Mother Sparks Outrage After Posting Pictures of Her Toddler Apparently Drinking a Bottle of Cider and Smoking Drugs. Well, it's being forced in the kid's mouth. Well, the kid's actually holding the one thing, the drugs that he's smoking, he's actually holding himself. But the other thing is a different story. Anyway, it says mother posted pictures of toddler apparently drinking alcohol and smoking. Young boy seen looking upset as a woman poured cider down his throat. She shared the image of him with rolled cigarette in his mouth, which was lit. Smoking images taken to Argentina have sparked outrage over social media. Well, you know what? The person who needs to be addressed is not the child as much. He needs to be taken away from these people. This is another reason why we need, we need less of this riffraff having kids. We don't need more kids. We need less kids. And if we do have kids, they better be brought up in better families. Because that's just too much. I just seen this one. I'm going to put this on my Facebook page right now as we speak. And it was on the Daily Mail because I grew up with the Brady Bunch. I wasn't actually, it was already over by the time it was on, probably. But it says, here's a story of a lovely lady, Brady Bunch's Susan Olsen. She played Little Cindy. Reveals she had paid $50 to work in porn and says co-star Maureen McCormick is the oddest bird. She's known for playing the wholesome schoolgirl Cindy Brady in the popular 1970s American TV show The Brady Bunch. But Susan Olsen, now 53, has opened up her work in the porn industry. Well, somebody are like that out there. Yeah, that's I don't know. Can't say anything, but it's on my Facebook page. John Barthenol, I think is the way you say his name. I might have actually said it right for a change. Probably not. Already researching for the role of Punisher, the Punisher role. He's actually doing his homework. A couple weeks ago, Marvel announced that John Barthenol, if that's how you say his name, had landed the role of Frank Castle, the Punisher, in Season 2 of Netflix Daredevil. Today, he is strong, jaw-lined, dropped by Hypno Comics in Ventura, California, to pick up some research material for his new comic book role. The Walking Dead and the Fury actor was nice enough to pose with the store owner and even sign his first of many Punisher comics. It says, I wouldn't be surprised if Barthenol picked up a few comics we recommended for him on recent Punisher Reader's Guide article. I hope I said his name right. That was on comicbook.com, by the way. This was pretty funny. Daily Mail had some really good stuff this weekend. Gentle Giant, heartwarming video shows large elephant falling asleep and even snoring as woman sings calmly lullaby. Because I got accused for snoring. My parents snore. A friend of mine snores. It just seems like a normal thing, but hearing an animal snore, it's probably just makes it even more interesting. Elephant enjoys being snug to sleep by it looks like sanctuary worker in Thailand. Clip shows the mammal drifting into deep sleep and snoring loudly. Adorable footage was taken at the elephant's natural park in Chiang Mai. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. You might want to look at that. And right now, I'll never do this again probably, but I'm actually shooting over an hour and a half. So, reaching my last story, which is the best to last, I hope. I think it is. But it's uprocksmusic.com, and it's Taylor Swift explains her absence from Apple Music with a stern, open letter. And I actually agree with this. It says, Taylor Swift has made some waves in recent days following the news that her album 1989 would not be hitting any of the streaming services, particularly Apple Music. I actually did buy it off of Amazon Prime, though, but I actually got the CD as well. So that's probably why she allowed that on there. Now she has come out to explain her reasons in an open letter to Apple, where she calls in question the company's practices with the service's free trial period. So I understand what she was talking about when I read this article. In the open letter post to her Tumblr, Swift cites that this absence is not about her in the end. Instead, it's a fight for artists who are just getting their start in attempting to break through. Apple Music's policies, particularly during the trial period, are apparently detrimental to those artists. I think this is what she actually wrote. So it says, I am sure you're aware that Apple Music will be offering a 3-month trial to anyone who signs up for the service. I'm not sure you know that Apple Music will not be paying writers, producers, or artists for their 3 months. I find it to be a bit shocking, disappointing, and completely unlike this historically progressive and generous company. Well, you know why? Jobs is dead. This is not about me. Thankfully, I'm on my 5th album and I can support myself, my band, crew, and entire management team by playing live shows. This is about the new artists or bands that just released their first single and will not be paid for its sources. This is about the young songwriter who just got his or her cut through their royalties from that would make would get them out of debt, basically, is what she said. I'm sorry, I kind of stumbled on the words. This is about the producer who works tirelessly to invent and create, just like the inventors and creators of Apple are pioneers in their field. But it will not get paid. Will not get paid for a quarter of the year's worth of play on her song. So yeah, see, everybody's suffering. I understood this completely, what she was writing. You can read it. You can kind of make amends for what I'm reading now. 3 months is a long time to go unpaid, and it's unfair to ask anyone to work for nothing. To say this with love, reverence, and admiration for everything else Apple has done, I hope soon I can join them in the progression towards a streaming model that seems to fare those who create this music. I think this could be a platform that gets it right. But to say Apple, with all due respect, it is not too late to change the policy and change the minds of those in the music industry who will be deeply and gravely affected by this. We don't ask for you for free iPhones. Well, it depends. You work for the government gives free iPhones out, though. Please do not ask to provide you with our music for no compensation. So, yeah, I understand what she's saying. I mean, they're going to probably say, oh, you're being like the guys from Metallica, but I don't think she really is. I truly believe. And I've seen her work, how her creative work, actually her genius works, and it really is. She's got a really creative side, and I bought her deluxe editions of her two last albums, which are the ones that are non-country, and I really do like them. And that was 1989 and the one called Red. And I got 1989, and there were some extras. There's 6 extra tracks that weren't on the regular album. And those were really good because she actually plays stuff. She explains herself how she comes up with her ideas for her movies. Her music. So, yeah. And she's some of her music just comes to her like she reminds me. I mean, some people are saying you can't relate her to what I'm just about to say, which would be like Beethoven, but the music's in her head, and she just transcribes it to the paper and then to whatever she records it on. And I think, I hate to say it, but I think what was Beethoven was the same way, or maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, you're going to say, oh, that's apples and oranges. One's, classical music, one is pop music. Well, her way of going around things is actually the same. The music's there. She hears it in her head. She puts it out. A lot of her influence, yes, is about her life and about men and boys and stuff. I understand that's typical. But the way she creates music out of that, or I would even like to call it art, because when I saw her live, I think she's incredible. I think she's incredible on what she does. She's a genius in her, in that field. Now, I know I said in another show that, her, when she was on Saturday Night Live, some of the stuff she did seemed kind of like a paper cutout. But I was just using that figuratively because some of the stuff she even did on her acting on that show from 2009 on Saturday Night Live, SNL, was really funny. I mean, I laughed really hard at some of the stuff she did. So she's very talented, and she definitely put on a good performance. But, it's, for you to work that hard and to make something that is entertaining you is, you expect to get paid for that. It would be like me going to work and telling my bosses, don't worry about it. You don't have to give me a paycheck anymore. I'm just going to work for free for the next couple months. It kind of reminds me, it was funny, I was watching an old show called Gomer Pyle, and there was one where Gomer Pyle, his sergeant, basically said, "You didn't work for this paycheck." He said, "You shouldn't have got paid for the amount of work you did." He was trying to get Gomer Pyle all worked up. So what Gomer Pyle did is he literally gave his check back, his monthly check from the military. He sent it back to the government, and they were asking, "Why are you giving the money back?" He said, "Because I didn't deserve it. I didn't earn this check." Well, it's almost like the same thing, I guess. That's why I'm saying that. It's like, okay, so you're going to work for free. You're going to work really hard because that character always worked really hard, and you're not going to get paid for it because you shouldn't get paid for it. Then you got people. Well, I can put this finally in. A friend had sent me this as a joke, and I thought it was really funny. The race card, which it's got the Monopoly guy on there. It's like a get out of free card, and it says share this if you like, and if you're sick to death of people playing the race card. And it says on this race card, a tool of intellectually weak and lazy, when they cannot counter a logical argument or factual data. So if you're one of those people, you're the one who is driving the BMW, the Mercedes-Benz, but the people that actually work, they're not getting paid. So how does that fit into the thing I said about Taylor Swift? Well, they're actually working. They're making a living off of what they do. And in order to make a living off of what you do, and especially if you're just starting out in that field, is you need to get paid. If you're not getting paid, then you're not going to be around. So that's the whole thing about our country right now. Everything is really upside down. Like you have the people who don't work at all, and they get, like Chelsea Clinton, who basically gets handouts by the parents and can afford a $10.5 million home. Or you got these people who are driving BMWs and Mercedes-Benz, but the money's not coming from their job. It's coming from their parents' pockets or from the government handouts. But then you have people that are working really hard and they're not getting anything returned. They're actually getting more. They're paying more for their health care. They're paying for other people's health care. They're making less money. And they're basically, it's like a reverse where the lower class are living high on the hog, and the upper class or the upper middle class or the middle class are basically living in debt and have nothing to show for it, but yet they are the ones that are doing all the work. So it's completely been reversed. And by the way, I can't find it now. My show is actually almost going to be over an hour and a half. But it was an article the other day. It was funny where President Obama actually fesses up that he actually had a failed presidency. And instead of fessing up that, okay, yeah, I had acknowledging that it was his fault that his presidency had failed, he blames everyone else for it, for failing. So he doesn't take any blame for his mistakes. He blames everyone else. So I can't find that one. I know I might even just send it to a friend because I'm trying to look for it right now. But yeah, he actually does say that too. Yeah, I'm trying to look for it, hoping I can find it, but it's not going to work. Friend actually sent me an article too. Also, woman tries to smuggle cocaine out of Colombia in her breast implants. So this lady, this was the Daily UK Mail too. What a bust. A woman who had 1.5 kilograms of liquid cocaine wrapped up in latex gloves and hidden inside her breast arrest at Colombia Airport. Not around. At the 22-year-old Honduran was caught trying to board a flight in Barcelona. I'm trying to see. Police say surgery carried out recently at clandestine clinic in Colombia. Basically, she had implants, but the implants were filled with cocaine. So, I mean, again, these stories are just nonstop. I was trying to look. Oh, this was something because I adore her. Selena Gomez. This was on etonline.com. Selena Gomez, Olivia Wilde, Paul Rudd, and pals take the field for Kansas City Royals charity event. So that was pretty cool. Hopefully the money does go towards where it belongs and not something else. But, okay, here we go. I did put it on my friend's page at least. Now this was downtread.com, and it says Obama blames his failed presidency on Congress and the American people. So here we go. It's not his fault. It's everyone else's fault that his presidency had failed. And this was on June 19th. The good news is Obama has finally admitted his presidency has been unmitigated failure. Remember all that hope and change he promised? Well, the president is ready to concede that he didn't deliver. He, however, predictably can own up to the shortcomings and blames. He, however, particularly can't own up to the shortcomings and blames. He blames it all on Congress and American people because just how narcissistic he really is, his role. So, yeah, that was on downtread.com. Yeah, so he doesn't take the blame. It's not his fault. It's our fault, according to him, and it's Congress's fault why he had a failed presidential, his whole thing basically is our fault. So I mean, I'm glad to hear that it's not his fault, it's our fault. So I'm glad he actually got that straightened out because I would have never even thought that. So that being said, I will leave tonight's show over and hopefully people won't make the same mistake again that they did with this president and, elect somebody else who's just as bad. Again, this is over an hour and a half, so everyone, I am signing off. Have a good night, and I hope I don't delete this show like I did the first time.